In this video, I want to introduce half-ball hits and show you how valuable they can be to your pool game. In this diagram, you can see that the cue ball is aiming right at the edge of the two ball. So half of the cue ball would overlap with the two ball if it were to travel in a straight line. What this does is it represents a 30-degree cut. This angle is also very important because it represents where the object ball and the cue ball are going to split the forward force evenly. So if you have a shot that's straighter than this 30 degrees or a half ball hit, more energy is going to stay in the cue ball, and your rotational force, if you have follow or draw, is going to be much more pronounced. If you get a much thinner cut, it's going to be a lot less pronounced, any follow or draw, and the cue ball is going to retain a lot more energy than the two ball gets. If it's a stun shot, the cue ball will travel down that stun line. And the stun line and tangent line are parallel. The stun line is a little bit more important than the tangent line because it represents where the center of the cue ball is traveling as opposed to where the edge is. Now let's look at a table and see how this can impact your game. Hi, I've set up this shot to demonstrate half ball hits. This is a great little practice shot. What I did is I actually set it up with some donuts. So you can set this up over and over and over again. If you shoot balls down the rail and you start with your object ball about an inch off the rail, it's actually a good practice shot because if you hit the rail, your ball is going to pick up spin going like this, and then if it hits the end rail, it wants to spin out instead of in. So it's actually deceptively hard. And what this does is if you practice this shot over and over, it's an objective shot. So my cue ball, I'm aiming at the outside edge of the one ball, or the object ball. And I have an exact point that I'm looking at, and an exact point that I'm aiming at. So what I want to do is drill a bunch of balls down into the corner. Another example of this shot is actually a spot shot. So if I set up the cue ball over where people normally break from, over by the side rail, an inch or so off the rail, and a ball in the spot, if I aim at the outside edge of the one ball, I can cut the ball straight in the corner. So if you practice these a little bit, what you'll find is you start to spot them all over the table. It's a most common shot in the pool, and a lot of times if you can't make it exactly, you can use that as a reference point to adjust your aim just a tiny bit one way or the other, either hit the cue ball or hit the object ball a little fuller or a little bit thinner, and you can make the ball. Now, just walking around this table, if I look at this 11 ball, I got a half ball hit and it goes into the corner. If I walk around a little bit, I look at the one ball, I got a half ball hit, goes into the other corner. If I continue to walk around the table and look at this 5, I got a half ball hit that goes into the side. If I walk around a little bit further and look at the 9 ball, I've got a half ball hit that goes into the corner. If I look at the 13 ball, once again I've got a half ball hit on the other side of the ball that goes into that same corner. And if I look at the 3 ball, once again, I've got a half ball hit into the corner. Now these half ball hits are common, they're all over the table. Generally speaking, when you start playing shape, you want to leave yourself an angle that's somewhere in a half ball hit or maybe a little bit straighter than a half ball hit. And that gives you an easy ability to play shape and move on to the next ball. If you're straight, it's hard to play shape. If you would end up with a really thin cut, it's hard to control the cue ball because the cue ball starts flying.